before Disney gave her a fairy godmother, a pumpkin carriage, and a happy ending at the stroke of midnight. The original Cinderella had none of that. What she had instead was a tree growing on her mother's grave, and birds that watched everything. This is the story as the Brothers Grimm wrote it in 1812. This is grim and true. A merchant had a wife who fell gravely ill. As she lay dying, she called her only daughter to her bedside and said, "Dear child, be good and pious. God will always protect you, and I will look down on you from heaven." She closed her eyes and was gone. The girl went to her mother's grave every day and wept. Winter came, snow covered the grave. When spring returned, the merchant took a new wife. The new wife brought 2 daughters with her. They were beautiful to look at, but dark and cruel at heart. They took away Cinderella's fine clothes and gave her an old grey smock. They took her bedroom and sent her to sleep in the ashes beside the hearth. That is how she got her name, Cinderella. The girl who lived in the cinders. Each morning she had to rise before dawn, carry water, light the fires, cook and wash. The stepsisters mocked her without mercy. They poured lentils into the ashes just to make her pick them out one by one. One day, the merchant was traveling to a market and asked what gifts his daughters wanted. The stepsisters asked for fine dresses, pearls and jewels. Cinderella asked only for the first branch that brushed against his hat on the road home. He brought her a hazel branch. She carried it to her mother's grave. She planted it there and watered it with her tears. It grew into a tree, and a little white bird came to live in that tree. Whenever Cinderella whispered a wish beneath its branches, the bird threw down whatever she asked for. The king of the land had a son who was ready to choose a wife. He announced a festival, 3 days of feasting and dancing, and invited every young woman in the kingdom. The stepsisters were delighted. They called Cinderella to dress their hair, polish their shoes, fasten their clasps. "You," said one, laughing, "you can't go. You have no clothes. You don't even know how to dance." When they left, Cinderella went to the hazel tree and said quietly, "Shiver and quiver, little tree. Silver and gold throw down on me." The white bird threw down a dress of gold and silver and slippers of pure gold. She arrived at the festival. No one recognized her. Everyone assumed she was a foreign princess. The prince danced only with her and would not leave her side. When evening came, she slipped away before he could follow and vanished into the pigeon house. The prince waited for her father and told him, "The unknown woman has hidden herself in the pigeon house." They broke open the pigeon house, but she was gone. She had already crept home, changed back into her grey smock, and was sitting quietly in the ashes. The same thing happened on the second night. On the third night, the prince had the palace stairs smeared with pitch. When Cinderella fled at midnight, her left golden slipper stuck fast. She ran, but left the slipper behind. The prince declared, "The woman whose foot fits this slipper will be his wife." The stepsister with the larger foot tried first. Her mother handed her a knife and said quietly, "Cut off the toe. When you are queen, you will not need to walk." The girl cut off her toe. She pressed her foot into the slipper. She swallowed the pain. She climbed onto the horse beside the prince. They rode past the hazel tree at the grave. 2 doves sat in its branches and called out, "Row, row, 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 row. There's blood in the shoe. The shoe is too tight. The true bride waits behind." The prince looked down. Blood was seeping through the golden slipper. He turned his horse and rode back. The second stepsister tried. Her foot was too wide. The heel would not fit. Her mother handed her the knife. "Cut off the heel. When you are queen, you will not need to walk." She cut. She bled. She smiled. They rode past the grave again. "Row, row, row, row. There's blood in the shoe. The shoe is too tight. The true bride waits behind." The prince came back a third time and asked the merchant, "Do you have another daughter?" Beauty, only a dirty little creature," said the man. "She couldn't possibly be your bride." The prince insisted. Cinderella washed her face and hands, came out and curtsied. The prince held out the golden slipper. Her foot slipped in perfectly. He looked at her face. He recognized her. "This is the true bride." At the wedding, the white doves flew down from the hazel tree. They landed on Cinderella's shoulders, one on each side. As the procession made its way to the chapel, the stepsisters walked beside it, hoping to share in her good fortune. On the way there, the doves pecked out the right eye of each stepsister. On the way back, they pecked out the left. Both sisters were blinded for life, for their wickedness and falsehood, punished with blindness, for all their days. That is what the Brothers Grimm published in 1812. No fairy godmother, no magic midnight deadline, no pumpkin, a dead mother's ghost living in a tree, a prince who smeared pitch on his own stairs, sisters who carved away their own flesh to steal another woman's life, and doves with no mercy at all. This story was not written to comfort children, it was written to warn them. Be good, not because goodness is rewarded, but because cruelty has a very long memory. This is Grim and True. If you want more of the real stories, subscribe. Next week, Snow White. And what the evil queen actually asked the hunter to bring back. Until then, stay in the dark.